Hello guys, today's a hair rig used for carp fishing. For bait I'm using sweet corn to demonstrate. A lot of people like to use boilies to demonstrate with, but I like to use sweet corn because it's more difficult to put on the actual hair rig because it's so sensitive and soft and it falls off easy. And I know a lot of people like to fish with corn too, so I thought I'd actually show you how to make the rig with corn on it. First off, I'm going to grab about 1.5 feet, depending on how much line you want to have after you've tied your hook down, leader wise. But you're going to need a hook, about 3 kernels of corn, some kind of stopper. This is a bobber stop, actually. At the spool that the little bobber stops come on, and that's about it. So you need line, a hook, corn, and the bobber stop. So the first step you want to do to this rig is actually make a loop. Here, I'll actually demonstrate it real fast. Let me cut a piece of line here. Grab the sun. Alright. Find a good camera spot. There we have our line right here. We're going to make a loop just like you would if you're going to tie your shoe. So we have our loop. Then with the rest of our line we're going to tie in plain old simple overhand knot. This is a 4-pound test. I certainly would not use 4-pound test to go carp fishing, but I would go at least 10 to 20-pound braid, depending on where you're at. If you're in the area where there's carp over 60 pounds, definitely go 50-pound braid. That's the least I would go. There we have our loop. After that, we're going to slip on a single hook. Treble hooks won't work in this case because you have to wrap around the shank of the hook. Treble hooks don't have much of a shank since there's 3 hooks on a treble hook, so I'll just grab, here's a little trying to get it out. Actually, I'll just use this big old one for the video purposes. So we have our loop here. Actually, before we go any further, take off the tag end of the loop you created. A little bit of space for air, as always, when you're tying knots. Okay, so we have that loop on one end and then a free end on the other. You're going to put the free end through the back of the eye. This is very important. Through the back of the eye. You're going to pull all the way down to the loop almost. Once you pull down all the way to the loop, you'll measure out with your hook. The back of that hook, of the hook, should have about a little bit more, about that much room from there to there. That much room. Maybe a little less. Then after we've measured out, we're going to wrap the other end down the shank of the hook. do this about 7 or 8 times. Then we take, after we've wrapped it around the shank of the hook 7, 8 times, we'll take the other end that's still free, we'll put it back through the eye like we did when we first started, through the back. Okay, so we have our loop here, that much room, and we have our hook knot right there. Then, after you've done that, you must have a little, some kind of snagger. This is actually a needle from like a sewing kit you would get. I broke down one of the ends, so where one, and I pulled out the other part I broke off, and I pulled it up a little bit. It's kind of like a hook. You can snag the loop on here with this. That's the whole purpose of that. And for the corn, you're actually going to slide the corn through this point of the needle. But you have to use the right kind of corn, and I'll show you how to keep the corn on there so it doesn't fall off when you cast. To thread a piece of, well, first off, you want to get the hardest piece of corn you can, one that's not mush, one that's not falling apart. So you have your snag here, you're going to take this narrow end of the corn, stick that part of the needle through, your corn slides through just on the snagger. You're going to do that with 2 more pieces of corn. So there's 2. Get the last one on here. There's 3. Now as for to get this corn on here, your bait is actually not even going to touch the hook or go on the hook. It's going to be on the side right here where this loop is at. So when the fish picks it up and turns, this hook will actually snag the fish. You don't even have to hook the fish. The fish hooks itself when it takes off with it. And carp know when there's bait on a hook, so this is the whole purpose of this. So you snagged, here's your hook, you take the hooking part of your, what I could call snag, you hook the loop, and you pull tight to make that line as thin as possible. Then actually, to make it even thinner, I put this end of the line in my mouth to hold down tight, and I slide the corn through the needle onto the line. I pull the needle out. Make sure those corn niblets are actually as close as they can be to falling off. You'll barely have any loophole remaining. And as anybody would think watching this video, as soon as you cast, the corn's going to fly off, right? So this is where the stop comes into play. I showed you on the other one I already made. You're going to take the stop. You can use a toothpick if it's really small to loop. These bobber stop spools always work perfectly for me. You're going to slide it on, and then you're going to put pressure down on that corn as much as you can. And there's the hair rig, folks. It took me about not even 10 minutes to make this rig. It's the most important rig carp fishing wise. My personal take on carp are not that good of a game fish, but they put up a great fight, and they're usually pretty big fish. I don't keep them, I always catch and release. This rig also works good for plastic boilies you can buy in stores. So sweet corn, boilies, they all work for this rig. And then once you've had the rig done, you cut off how much ever leader you want, and you attach it to a swivel, and then you attach that end of the swivel to the main line, and then you're ready to go. You can add a small weight if you want to the top of the swivel, above the swivel, not on the bottom half where the leader remains at, but on the top half of the swivel. So I have 2 hair rigs. I took the bobber stop from the other one and put it on this one, but I have 2 hair rigs ready to go for carp fishing this Saturday. Works great. Also, if you don't like this rig, if you think it's kind of complicated, or if you didn't like the video, you think it's a little non-viewable of what I was doing, go on some other people's videos, or if you want, you can put just a regular tri-swivel on. It's a triangle. It has 3. One's attached to the main line, one has a sinker, and then one has a hook and bait. You tie on the sinker, and then you tie on a hook a little farther down, and then you put the hook with corn niblets on it. And also, if you're carp fishing, you want to chum the area with whatever bait you're using. If you're using bread, you take the crust of the bread, throw it in the lake wherever you're going. Same with sweet corn. You want to throw corn in the area of the fishing hole where you're fishing at. That brings the fish in, and that's what makes you catch the fish. And remember to like, comment, subscribe, and thanks for watching.